坂本達夫のスタートアップ酒場イエーイ
To me, at the end of the day, being a co-founder, the most important thing is the company being successful. We really want to provide world-class documentation, world-class customer support. I got my first computer when I was 8 years old. I think when I was studying was also like the Social Network movie and those things. And that was like, yeah.
言える範囲で全然いいんですけど、これまでにあったなんか会社にとってのハードシングスみたいなのって何かありますか？
As a founder, I guess. Well, I mean, it's hard every day. I'm not gonna lie, and it doesn't. It's funny because we used to think that things are gonna get easier, and especially with me as being a co-founder and CTO, that the title of CTO is something that is very different. Same as CEO too, but CTO is very different depending on the stage on the company, but also depends on the company too. Like I've talked with a lot of founders that were like ahead of us, and the role changes a lot. So that's the main thing, is that you need to switch from like product building to at some point company building too, and making sure that you build a great culture and maintain the culture as the same way you're growing. So as soon as you get good at your job, like you get good at really great at coding and maybe now scaling the technology, and then you have to do something else. You need to hire people. You need to manage a team. You need to like all these. Like now you grow more and you need to hire executives. So those are skills that as soon as you get good at it, your job description changes completely. So you need to adapt really fast.
なるほどね。自分のロールをどんどん変えていかなきゃいけないっていうのは会社を始めたタイミングでは知ってましたか？
No, actually didn't know. And in fact, for CTOs, for CEOs, there's a lot of stuff written, but for other type of founders there's not that much. So that's why every year I try to write a blog post about how my role has evolved, and it's super interesting because for some founders that I talk later, they was like, oh, that was exactly my journey, and for other people it was like, no, my journey was completely different. But I think it's good to like share this type of information. To me, at the end of the day, being a co-founder, the most important thing is the company being successful, and that's where I have the most fun. I have the most fun when the company is doing well and when I work with really great people that are happy. So to me, it has always been not like, oh, do I want to be coding the whole time, or do I want to become a great manager? To me, it's always like trying to hire people that are better than me and that I get inspired to work with. And I think that's the key. Like when you're always trying to find people that you're excited to work with, that's how you grow.
なるほどね、面白い。ちょっとなんか意地悪な質問かもしれないんですけど、そういうふうに自分よりもいい人とか賢い人とかっていうのを雇っていくと、自分がのなんか仕事って何なんだろうみたいな感じで見失ったりすることってないですか？
I think so, but that's something that I was scared of at the beginning. It was like, oh, I'm gonna lose my job. The reality is that, at least so far, it never happens because there's always another challenge, right? There's always the next fire. There's always the next stage. So, and as a founder, you have a lot of institutional knowledge, both about the problem, the space, the customers, and the technology that you build. So that's where me and my co-founder can help a lot. And also working on the culture, right? Because there's some values that when we started at the beginning writing the values, my co-founder and I really thought it was like, oh, that's what all companies do, but it's meaningless. But if you really think about them, it can make a difference. And now you need to make sure that culture will evolve, but there's things that you want to preserve and even get to the next level. And I think that's one of the main roles of the founders too.
なるほどね。今のそのRevenueCatのカルチャーっていうのはどんな感じなんですか？
Yeah, so we have 4 values. At the beginning there were a lot more values, but we have 4 values, which are simple. One is always be shipping, which means every day counts. Let's move the needle every day, and let's try to build the minimum thing that is impactful right away to provide the value right away. Customer obsession, which is very important in B2B, right?
Customer obsession.
Yeah, it's like really, and that doesn't mean do whatever the customer wants or whatever the customer is asking. It's like do whatever is best for the customer, right? And really feel the pain that they're facing. Then own it, because I think it's very important when you're working with other teammates and you know they're owning it, then you feel a lot safer, and then you can risk it more and do great things. And the last one is balance, which as founders is very tricky too, because we wanna show the company that we're here for the long run, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Our goals are very hard to reach, so it's gonna take a long time. So we need to make sure that we are ready for the long run.
なるほどね。さっき打ち合わせの時に会社がすごくインターナショナルだっていうふうにお話しされてたんですけど、それについてもうちょっと聞いてもいいですか？
Yeah, so we are everywhere right now. I think we need to expand a little bit more in Japan for sure. But yeah, we have people, especially in engineering, we have people around the world. We are in 14 countries, which is a challenge because there's a lot of time zones, right? So you need to work not only remotely but asynchronously. So communication and written communication is extremely important.
どの国が多いとかってあるんですか？
I would say like most people are in the US, and we have a lot of people in Spain too. I'm originally from Spain, so we have a lot of people over there. I guess we have a lot of people in Madrid, but we have people around Spain, and we used to have a lot of people in the Bay Area. I don't think we have that many people in the Bay Area anymore in the US, but yeah, we're in 17 states over there. Yeah, that's been super. We have people in Latin America, we have people in Taiwan, Australia. So yeah, it's been amazing to get to know, like you feel like you have friends all over the world, really.
なるほどね。会社の中でのコミュニケーションは英語ですか？
Yes, that's the main language. Like, I mean, obviously, if you're talking one-on-one with somebody that you share your native language, it's probably fine. But all the communications and written communications are in English.
めちゃくちゃ面白いな。今日本についてもちょっとお話しされてたと思うんですけど、今の日本での状況とこれからどういうふうにしていきたいみたいな考えって聞かせていただけますか？
So we have I would say a couple dozen paid customers in Japan, and few hundred indies too. So it's my first time here, but it's been amazing to like meet developers. That to me is one of the biggest things that I miss, was especially during the pandemic, right? Not being able to like meet customers in real life, and like I've been here for like less than 48 hours, and I've met a lot of both customers or people that didn't know anything about RevenueCat, or people that were considering using RevenueCat, and also other partners and other companies. So that's been an amazing experience. We're definitely going to come back, and yeah, we're here for a conference too. We're going to stay the whole week, but we're really considering trying to expand over here, because it's and yeah, everybody has been extremely nice and super respectful, and it's been a great. It really felt like when I moved originally to Silicon Valley and I started like going to events and meetups and things like that. So the vibe was pretty similar, and everybody was excited to build things.
なるほどね、面白い。最近って日本のスタートアップも海外に出ていこうとかグローバルカンパニーを作ろうみたいなのっていうのがよく言われていると思うんですけど、RevenueCatにとって他の国への GoTo マーケットっていうのをどういうふうに進めているのかとか、地域によってその進め方違ったりするのか、難しい簡単とかあるのかっていうのを教えていただけますか？
Yeah, I'm definitely not the expert in go-to-market, for sure. That's one of the great things about YC, is that they teach technical folks to be good at sales and selling the product. But at some point, obviously, like as I said, you need to hire better people than you. But yeah, I think the nice thing about our product is like people can use it anywhere. But at some point, I feel like it's really important to be there, right, and be able to talk with customers in person, understand their pain points, because they might be a little bit different, and also one thing that we really care about, as I said, customer obsession is one of our values. So we really want to provide world-class documentation, world-class customer support. So definitely, like, we need to make sure that everything is super understandable in the language that it should be, and the response times are really good. And sometimes with the time difference, you might need like either technical account managers or sales engineers or support engineers that are closer in the time zone, so that you can communicate faster. So those are the things that I would say are the main challenges that we need to solve.
なるほどね。 今日本でもいくつかお客さんとかお客さん候補にあったって話してますけども、すでに何かこう日本にユニークななんかチャレンジとか顧客の課題とかっていうのは見つけられましたか？
Well, I think definitely there's a lot of room for improving in our product to make it more better localized, which those are the easy ones really. Like that's something like we just need to prioritize and make sure we do properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it was super interesting to also see like what trends are different here compared to the US. For instance, like Flutter is extremely popular here.
What?
Flutter.
Oh.
Whereas I would say in the US, like for cross-platform technologies, I would say that probably React Native is more famous in the US. So yeah, that was really interesting to talk with a lot of mobile developers and learn that, so that we need to make sure we double down on those type of cross-platform frameworks and make the tools really easy for them to use.
After that, I will want to go deep dive into your personal story. But before going to that, do you have anything else that you want to speak about your product or your company?
I think maybe one thing that, well, the targeting is something that has been very interesting for people. Targeting, yeah. So that's something that people have been really excited to hear when we've been talking with customers, is the ability for remotely configuring without like having to issue an app update. Changes in your paywall, or changes in your pricing, or where you're even placing the paywall. And with RevenueCat, you can configure that remotely without even to issue an app update, which is really useful.
ユーザーによってそれを変えることができるってことですかね。
That's extremely powerful.
面白い。なんかそのユースケースってどんなのがありますか？
Again, it really depends on the app. So some people get more imaginative than others. But the basic stuff would be like even testing out when to show a paywall, where to show it, and if it should look differently. Than, like, it's probably not the same showing a paywall right after you've done the onboarding, when you don't really know that much about the product, versus when you've been using the product every day for like a week. And again, like customizing, maybe you want Android users to see a different paywall or a different pricing, or people that are using older versions of the phone or something like that. So there's a lot of customization that you can do that normally like it would require a lot of engineering work. Like every time that there's like an A/B testing, it requires a lot of designer and engineering work. And right now, a marketing person can do it in RevenueCat without having to like disturb the engineer and be like, okay, you're not gonna work in this amazing feature that you were working on. Now you need to do this experiment for marketing purposes or for growth purposes. That is never fun. So now the other stakeholders can do that easily without engineering intervention. This is the dream.
これはもうでもアプリでサブスクリプションやってる会社は開発のリソースを節約するっていう意味でもいろんな実験をしてビジネスを伸ばすっていう意味でも使わない理由があんまり見当たらないですね。
That's the goal, and that's how we're thinking about it. We've always tried to align with the customers. Even our pricing model, we thought, especially my co-founder thought a lot about the pricing model, and for us, it's aligning incentives, right? Like the way we charge is based on how much money you make. So if you're not making any money, you don't pay us anything, right? Because there are apps that have a lot of customers, but maybe a lot of users, but maybe they don't pay. That's fine. Like you don't have to pay us a lot of money for having like a lot of users. But it's great. Some developers get excited when they have a big RevenueCat build because it means that they made a lot of money that month.
なるほどね。RevenueCatは自分たちのカスタマーをビジネス的に成功させるインセンティブがあるってことですね。もし日本のデベロッパーさんがRevenueCatに興味あるとか使いたいって思った時にはどうすればいいですか？
Well, you can go to the RevenueCat website and start using it right away, but also we have a contact form in Japanese, revenuecat.com/jp, I think it is. But also we're very active on Twitter, so me and my co-founder are there and a lot of our employees, so if you reach out to us, even if it's in Japanese, we'll figure out a way to help you out.
ちなみにずっとここに座ってくれてたこの可愛い子は何ですか？
That's a great question, but it's super cute and it's one of the things that our VP of marketing thought it was a really great idea as a souvenir and swag. So people are really loving it here. So and even like a lot of our employees are super jealous when they saw it for the first time. So we're gonna have to save a bunch of them for our employees.
じゃあ日本で初めてお披露目ですか？
Yes, it's brand new, only for the Japanese audience.
面白い。これ名前とかあるんですか？
I don't think so, but we should create a name for it.
Okay. RevenueCat って名前確かに結構面白いですよね。最初からその名前だったんですか？
It's always been since the beginning. Yeah.
How did you name it as a cat?
That's a great question. No, my co-founder and I, we don't have cats, but we had a list of names, and that name sounded great because it's two English words that are easy to remember, and so far people have been loving the name, so it's stuck.
Interesting. 最後にちょっとミゲルさんの個人的なお話についても聞ければと思うんですけど、結構昔からそのスタートアップやりたいっていうのは思ってたんですか？
Yeah, I mean, I got my first computer when I was 8 years old. That's one thing that I was, that was something that I was really asking for my parents. I never had. I always wanted a Game Boy or like a video console, and my parents were like, "No, when you're old enough, you'll get a computer." And then I fell in love, and I was like, I wanna go to Silicon Valley, and
そのコンピューターで何してたんですか？
well, I guess yes, learning, and I think I opened the computer to see what's inside like the first week. And
Did you not break it? 壊さなかったんですか？
Fortunately, I didn't break it. But no, yeah, and then the internet came too. I think it was a great era. Obviously, there was not that much information compared to now. I think it was more difficult to learn, but so that made me study computer science. And I think while I was in school is when I realized like, maybe like going to Silicon Valley or something like that is a lot more harder. You realize like there's immigration processes, things like that, and maybe starting a company is a lot more difficult. There were not that many startups in my home country back then. But yeah, eventually had the opportunity to go originally for 6 months. That turned into like, well, I'm still in the US, so it's turned into many years. Yeah.
初めてそのスタートアップっていうものを知ったのは、そのコンピューターサイエンスを大学で勉強してる時って感じですか？
I've always looked up to the big technology companies like Microsoft, Apple, and I think when I was studying it was also like the Social Network movie and those things. And that was like,
the type of thing, right?
Yeah, it makes you think that like especially because in my home country like most of the tech jobs or programming jobs were consultancy or like working for the government and things like that, not actually building products. And for me, like that was not that fun. Like I was always more interested in like building website, building apps, building things that provide value right away to the consumers. So I think that's what really attracted me to the startup world.
なるほどね。
The building.
ってことはもうそのプロダクトを作ってバリューをお客さんに届けるっていうことが一番最初に楽しかったしずっとやりたかったって思ったことでそれが結果的に今の自分でスタートアップやるっていうのにつながってるっていう感じですかね。
Yeah, and I think also, well, obviously, I think that every founder is a little bit crazy to some degree, and they don't because you don't understand how hard it is before doing it. But to me, the way I work, I get really obsessed, especially with a technical problem. If you have a problem, I need to solve it, and I'm always gonna be constantly thinking of it. So like starting the company from scratch is like I think it's the ultimate problem that is never ending. So it's been great.
なるほどね。すごい面白い。じゃあ最後にRevenueCatをなんか今後どういう風にしていきたいみたいなビジョンみたいなのがあったらお伺いしたいと思うんですけどいかがですか？
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about like the business side of things and becoming a public company and being super big and all those things, but really the thing is simpler than that. We wanna help developers make more money. That's the mission of the company, and whatever that means and however we grow. Like right now, like honestly, if we look at the original roadmap that me and my co-founder had thought about in 2017, we haven't even build half of the stuff. So there's a lot of things that we need to be building, but obviously the space is going to keep evolving. So yeah, like we want to make it easier for developers. And again, when I say developers, I'm not only referring to like engineers. I'm referring to like people building apps, people building software for consumers. Yeah, making it easier for them to make a living doing this and growing their businesses.
なるほどね。いやすごい面白かったですね。初めてその海外とかあとエンジニアバックグラウンドのファウンダーっていう組み合わせでしたけど、すごいやっぱビジネスしてないというか、本当に価値を提供しようっていうところにフォーカスしてるんだなっていうところがすごい面白かったなと思います。今回ゲストとしてお招きしたのは、RevenueCat という海外の会社のファウンダーであり CTO であるミゲルさんでした。今日はどうもありがとうございました。Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。というわけで、今回の初めての試みになりましたがいかがだったでしょうか。今回の動画が、面白かったと思う方はぜひ、高評価、コメント等いただけるとありがたいです。それからもし皆さんがアプリに関わっていらっしゃってこの RevenueCat っていうプロダクトに興味がある方はぜひコメント欄にもリンク貼っておきますので RevenueCat のウェブサイトで詳細確認してみてください。というわけで本日のゲストは RevenueCat コーファウンダーで CTO のミゲルさんでした。どうもありがとうございました。Thank you very much.
Thank you.